Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Limits movie podcast that I have just started. If you're interested, please stay tuned for the episode. The next episode is going to be in a week or two again. I'm going to do more of these, hopefully. Today, we are talking about one of the most acclaimed movies, period, depending on where you look, The Shawshank Redemption, and I got my good pal Hunter here to help me out with this one.
Mm-hmm.
So, first off, I would like to ask you one simple question. What is your history with the movie?
I watched it one time, and then recently I've been studying it because I had to. He put a gun to my head.
I'm pretty sure that is how it happened. I did actually put a gun to his head to get him to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I studied it. I watched it a while ago because I wanted to. I thought that was a really cool name, actually, which is kind of juxtaposition to what a lot of people thought at first. I think it was kind of a weird name. They had to change it a couple of times because it's based off the book by Stephen King, which was Rita Hayworth, who was a famous actor in the 1940s.
And then she's the one who's on like the poster and everything.
Yeah, she's the poster person, I think. And then it's based off that originally, but they had changed the name so it was less long. And if you see it, you think it's cool. I wanted to watch it because I had a completely different interpretation of what I thought it would be. I thought it would be like a World War II resembling a book about these guys who fought against Hitler one time in Germany. I thought it would be like that, and it was not that at all.
That is not the movie.
I wasn't disappointed, but I had a way different interpretation. I thought Shawshank was a really cool name as well.
Yeah,
I just wanted to see it.
I think it did bomb in the box office, I'm pretty sure.
When it first came out, I think it made 18 million, but it was a 25 million movie, so it completely bombed.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's kind of funny because it got nominated for 7 different things and it didn't win any of them. And then next year, in 1995, it won. It was the most rented out movie of the year, so it's pretty crazy in that aspect.
It had like a giant. it had a redemption.
It had a redemption. Look at that.
That's why it's in the title. So, I first watched this movie a few years back when my dad was trying to get me to watch some movies, and I'd seen like Star Wars and Avengers and stuff like that, but I didn't really watch a lot of stuff that was very grounded in reality because I unless you count like Dumb and Dumber, that's a super serious grounded reality movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so I remember he pulled some movies out of the box, like a box of DVDs, and they were the movie Red Dawn, which I really do not like that movie. I know some people do. It's not really my thing. Toy Soldiers, which was not that good either. It was fine, I guess. And then two movies that ended up actually being like all-time favorites of mine, which were The Shawshank Redemption and Good Will Hunting.
Oh, Good Will Hunting.
So the first one I picked to watch out of those four was Shawshank, and then I watched the other three not long after. So that was interesting. I actually had like looked at the back and stuff, so I knew it was going to be about a prison, just something. It took place in a prison and something. Mm-hmm. That's basically what I knew going in. And yeah, I loved it. And then I watched more movies after that, and now I'm making a whole podcast. So I guess that's an interesting reason why it's the first episode of the podcast. So, what is your general consensus of the movie? Well, we'll get to the details as the podcast goes on.
General consensus. It is a solid movie. Not bad.
It does a very good job. So, I think, where do I even start with this one? For those who don't know, and this is going to be a very spoiler-filled podcast if you're wondering, so just skip away if you don't want to hear spoilers and stuff. The basic story is about Andy Dufresne, who gets arrested because people think he murdered his wife.
And the person who's cheating with his wife. They think they got murdered somehow, and they think that he did it, which doesn't make tons of sense actually, but it's definitely a solid. It makes sense, I guess. I don't know.
And then
Shawshank.
Most of the story takes place in the prison. You get to learn about the different people in the prison, like Red, who is Morgan Freeman's character.
It is weird.
And there's like an old guy named Brooks, and there's.
I love Brooks so much. That's just such a sad ending.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I have some things to say about that. But and then you have like the ward and everything, and the core of the story is just about these people who are slowly starting to, because especially when I originally watched it, I found it really interesting because the core of the story is they actually learn to like being in the prison, like you think that it makes sense when you actually step away and think about it. So, but when I was in like 8th grade watching this, I was like, whoa, that actually does make sense. How you would slowly grow to want to be there
The,
because it's all you know.
the world changed so much and they were in there for so long. It's something you go out and it's like, what even happened?
And that's what I think the core of the story is. When they get out, they don't want to be like Brooks, because his whole plot line is he's really old. He got let out. He didn't want to leave, and he couldn't handle the real world, so he killed himself.
Which is very sad, very unfortunate.
Brooks was here.
Brooks was here, yeah.
So was Red.
It was, like, was it? Yeah, it was Red that got, when he finally got out,
He went in the
the
same
same exact room. He got the
Yeah.
same job even. Like, I think one of the most interesting things about this movie was the casting. Actually, the casting was weird. So for Red, for example, in the book Rita Hayworth in the Shawshank Redemption, Red is a old white man with gray and white hair that used to be red, which makes sense now.
Uh-huh.
And obviously that's not what Morgan Freeman looks like. So the casting was kind of weird for that. And there was so many famous actors that almost got in there. Like I know for Andy Dufresne, Tom Hanks almost got in there. He almost got the role, but he was busy with a different movie. Like for example, so I think it's Darabont, who's the director for Shawshank.
Frank Darabont, yeah.
Yeah, Frank Darabont. His next movie was The Green Mile, and that had Tom Hanks in it. But the one before that, Shawshank, did not have Tom Hanks. So he had two banger movies in a row, actually, both Stephen King movies as well.
Because I know that he had like Philadelphia the year before. He was in a movie called That. He was in Forrest Gump that year. So
yeah, it was Forrest Gump.
He was pretty busy at the time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though because so Frank Darabont, that's his second Stephen King adaptation, and the first one years before that, I forgot the name, but he bought the rights to the book from Stephen King for $1. Stephen King had a habit of doing that.
Let's go.
Stephen King would actually often in that time period sell some of his short stories to up and coming directors so that they can get some popularity for $1. That's actually a pretty fun thing. And he bought Shawshank for $5,000. But funnily enough, Stephen King never actually cashed it in. So when the movie was finally finished, he just kind of sent back the cash in a picture frame to Frank Darabont and said, "In case you ever go broke" or something like that. Steve.
The movie did fail, I guess.
Yeah, it did kind of fail, but it was kind of funny because he never actually cashed it in, so he just kind of got Shawshank for free. And I think it almost got directed by a different director who wanted way different actors. Like I know Brad Pitt almost got put in as Tommy, but I think he was busy with something else. And then oh my god, I'm forgetting names now. Who was the main actor in the Pirates movies?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp almost got in the movie, so that would have been kind of weird, but he didn't.
I cannot see him in that.
He almost got put in. That was kind of funny, actually.
Absolutely cannot see him in Shawshank Redemption.
There's so many famous actors, and then, but in the end, they decided to go with Tim Robbins, and then they obviously for Red, for example, I mentioned like the gray hair.
Yeah.
And instead of going for some of the actors they originally wanted to, they went with Morgan Freeman. And the reason why Frank Darabont went with him is because Morgan Freeman had a really good narrating voice. That's what he really wanted from the movie. Is a lot of narration over it, and Morgan Freeman has a perfect narration voice.
Yeah, every movie he's always like a narrator of some kind because he is like the perfect narrator.
Yeah, so that's why they chose him. There's even a joke in the movie where he says "must be because I'm Irish," because in the book he's Irish, but obviously in the movie Morgan Freeman doesn't look particularly Irish.
Didn't they use to make him called Red? They said like his last name is Red or something. And that's why he's called that. Is that it?
I would assume because he had red hair in the original book, but I don't know for sure. He also had gray hair, which he did have gray hair in the actual movie, I believe.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, that was actually Morgan Freeman's first movie where he narrated. He'd never done that before, so
I don't think he didn't. Most of the things I know him from are from after Shawshank, unless I'm just forgetting something. So, because Seven was a year after. He was in like the Dark Knight movies, and those are way after. War of the Worlds, he was a narrator, I know, but that was in 2005.
Yeah, that was way after. So that was his first narration movie. He kind of nailed it, I would say.
Yeah, he's a very good actor, obviously.
He has a good voice, not bad.
He's like the perfect narrator for that. So yeah, my general thoughts is it's become one of my favorite movies, obviously, because I just really like it. I think it's interesting idea with the prison. I think the characters are all super well done. The acting, really good across the board. Can you think of a bad performance in it? Because the main ones come to mind. I can't.
I can't either. I know the actor for Brooks. I know Frank Darabont really liked that actor. That's one of his favorite actors. That's why he got chosen for Brooks. I remember that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. And then obviously Tim Robbins is incredible. He does a really good job playing the character there.
Yeah,
the Warden is weirdly memorable, and I think
Oh yeah.
And
That's
obviously when we get to the ending, all that. I think that the music is fine in the movie. It's really good for what it's going for.
The music. I haven't listened to the music, but
it's not like the kind of thing you'd listen to outside the movie, but it's not trying to be because it's Shawshank, obviously.
It's not like a musical movie, so that doesn't make sense.
It's not Shawshank isn't a musical. Okay.
That should be the title. Shawshank isn't a musical.
I'm here to argue differently. No, but seriously, it's super well directed, obviously by Frank Darabont. I don't know how he directed Green Mile because you're the only one who's actually seen that. But as far as Shawshank, he's a very good director in my opinion.
They're actually pretty similar movies. They were two giant movies as well. I mean, kind of. In the long run, they were anyway. I think Green Mile is an extremely iconic movie that you somehow have not seen.
Yeah, someday I'll watch it.
You saw a 50-foot one, but you didn't see that.
Look, I got my priorities set straight.
Is this rigged?
So, I think a big part of Shawshank is also it's a good movie at like setting up these little things that end up becoming really important by the ending. Which I love when movies do that, like the poster.
Like connecting it together.
Yeah, the rock hammer and stuff like that, where he keeps wanting Red to give him these things, like the poster of Rita Hayworth and the rock hammer, and it ended up being important because he used that rock hammer to slowly, over a span of like 20 years, dig his way out of the prison.
That would be so painful.
Yeah, and obviously you also get that iconic shot when he finally makes it out of him in the rain, and he's like got his arms up.
That's the thumbnail. I mean the movie title picture. You can go in this.
Yeah.
In the rain.
It's a really good shot. And then he has all these reasons to get the warden to have issues.
There's actually a plot hole with the poster in the sense that when he escaped, when he went through the hole, how did he get the poster back on the wall?
I mean,
they can't really like it didn't fold it or anything like that. So how did he? That's actually an interesting plot hole that I would mention.
I mean, I can see it.
I can kind of see it, but it is kind of interesting.
It's not that big a deal, in my opinion.
No, it's not. It definitely doesn't cripple the movie by any means. I still like it.
Yeah, and then he ends up getting the warden to kill himself and everything.
Yeah.
And then eventually, it's very interesting because they kind of had the way that Red got out of the prison was he had that like famous monologue and everything. It's interesting because they had similar kind of things 3 times in the movie for different like periods of time. Like at the beginning, they have a happy-go-lucky like I'm all good now. You can let me out. Please let me out. And they rejected it. And then he got slightly more serious with the last one. Then it's finally when he's finally like, I don't care if I get out of here or not. Just let me be. And that is when they let him out. And I think that's also kind of weird because it's like, why is him saying, I don't care anymore? Why does that make them want him to be out? It's not that big a deal, but it's something that I did notice this time around.
It does make sense to me, kind of. Well, it's kind of hard to articulate. To be fair, he did have way more time in prison when he said that.
Yeah, so that makes sense, I guess. And then the ending is just super nice because he's on a beach with his good pal Tim Robbins.
Yeah, it's not my favorite ending, but it just does the job.
It's just a simple, nice ending. I can't go wrong with it.
What with the white oak tree? I think it was a white oak, the big tree that he puts like the message in.
Yeah.
That tree actually fell over. Like I think it was 2016 or something like that. It actually got blown over.
No.
It was in Ohio, I believe, because the movie got filmed in Ohio, even though the original book is supposed to be in Maine because Stephen King lives in Maine. So all of his books take place there. But they decided to film it in Ohio instead because that's where an available prison was.
Yeah, isn't that prison like a tourist attraction now, I think?
Yeah, it is. It slowly became more and more a tourist attraction after.
I think I actually did know that. So
that's kind of cool.
So yeah. General thought, I love the movie, obviously. It was a huge influence to me. It's one of my favorite movies ever. So I'm going with a 10 out of 10 on this one.
It influenced me to escape prison, so I'm also going to go with a 10 out of 10 on this one.
That's not what I meant. Not what I meant by it influenced me. Hey, when I end up in prison, I got a plan. Slowly dig my way out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys are stay tuned for the next episode. Hunter's gonna be back for that one,
I'm a
and
guy.
I'm not gonna tell you guys what it is yet. You guys gonna have to wait for next week or in 2 weeks, depending on how often I feel like uploading these. So see you guys. Goodbye.